Thank you for tuning in to the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. Please subscribe to our weekly Boston Bruins hockey talk on listening platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher Radio, and Spotify Podcasts. We'd certainly appreciate it if you give our show a 5-star rating along with a written review. You can also subscribe to our official YouTube channel for a video version of our weekly program. If you'd like to support our show financially, please go to our blackandgoldhockey.com website and click on our affiliated Fanatics banner before shopping online. Another way to financially support our weekly program is to become a Patreon member to be eligible for weekly Boston hockey prizes and monthly Boston Bruins hand-signed jersey giveaways. Please go to patreon.com/blackandgoldhockeypodcast and donate just $1 per episode. Many thanks for the continued support and enjoy the show.
Behind that, the Sanderson, Orr! Bobby Orr! Orr from the Boston Bruins!
30 seconds left in the period. The Bruins are shorthanded. Ray Bourque.
Ray Bourque from the face-off circle to the right of Reggie Lemon. Fired it down and Whitmore blew it. Did he ever?
To Berger on the drive, save, rebound, he's loose, Sagan kicks him loose, Bergeron scores! The Bruins pulls on, with the point of the dagger in their throats, they rip it out of Toronto's hands, and kill the beast! The Boston Bruins have won it, after being 3 down in the third!
All right, welcome into the Black and Gold Podcast, episode number 309. It's a pleasure to have everybody on board, everybody listening today. We appreciate it. I'm your host, Steve Forni. You can check me out on Twitter at PAVoice413. And of course, as always, Mark is here as well at Black and Gold 277. Busy week for the Bees. Nice celebration this weekend as well. And some... I don't know what to call it, but there's a lot of other things going on like salary cap and other things that we want to talk about as well. So we'll get into that as well. Mark, how are you today? It's so good to see you again, pal.
Good to see you too, man. I'm glad that you came back after a week of putting up with my ass in the inaugural episode of the Steve Forni main host endeavor. So I'm glad to see you as well. Hopefully you had a good week. I'm still recovering from my ribs, which they still hurt as a mofo. But yeah, I mean, getting old sucks. I guess I got to drink more milk and recover fast. Or I got to go talk to the Bruins and their medical staff because they seem to get players back as soon as possible, way above expected time. So I'm doing all right. I'm struggling through a little bit of a cough, but we're here talking Boston Bruins, and I'm really excited about this episode.
Yeah. Well, you sound good. So that's the key there. And
Thanks,
we are pleasure to have as well. By the way, the show is brought to you by betonline.ag. You can check them out. Make sure you use the promo code CLNS50. That's CLNS50. That'll help us out a lot. We appreciate all the support from those guys. We appreciate the support from you, the listeners, and you, the viewers as well. So please take advantage of that. And don't forget, if you want to participate in the show as well, we'd be happy to answer some of your questions. You have Bruins takes, you have Bruins thoughts that you want to get out there to us. You can do that. You can leave us a message, 978-504-2727. You can give us a call day or night, anytime. We'll have those recordings, and if they're good, we will play them. If you call us at midnight, a drunken stupor might not make it, but then again, for entertainment value, it just might. So we'll see what it looks like. Now, we're not just going to be a two-man show today as well. We are pleased to have Zach Taranko with us as well. Zach does play-by-play for Thornton Academy, and he also does some work with the Maine Mariners as well, which, of course, is the ECHL affiliate of the Boston Bruins. And you know me, I'm a big AHL guy, as are you, Mark, but I got to be honest, I don't follow a ton of the E League. So I'm glad to have Zach with us to give us some insight on things that quite frankly, I'm not all that knowledgeable about. So Zach, thank you so much for taking the time with us today.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to talk some Bruins and talk some Mariners as well because I've seen a lot of their play this year, and it's been up and down, but a lot has gone on.
A lot of up and down too. It's nice to see guys like JD Greenway playing in Providence, and I don't know. That's always the rewarding thing for me about minor leagues is when you see the advancement and you see the success that guys have moving up and down the leagues. I'm sure you get a lot of that down there as well.
Yeah, definitely. There's been a lot of players moving around. The one name that comes to mind is Brandon Bussi. He's done started in Maine, had a couple of great games, and then he's been killing it in Providence ever since. So a lot of players moving around, but it seems to flow a lot better in Maine. They do a great job kind of filtering in and out players, depending on the game or the day. So it's great to see some guys go up and come back down and just how they fit in with the lineup.
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely going to get into that as well. We're going to be using your insight on that. We do want to take a quick look back as well on the games that happened over the last week. And I got to tell you, I'm glad I'm taking notes on these things because, the 3-1 victory over Vegas feels like it was a long time ago, doesn't it? But they did have, 4 games this week, including the game against the Blue Jackets over the weekend. So, Mark, we look back at the Golden Knights game, a 3-1 victory. Seemed to me like it was about a period and a half of bleh. And then it was a period and a half of great hockey. The Bruins really put their foot on the throttle. Vegas plays so hard. They're I think they're a fun team to watch competitively. And any takeaways from that one that you noticed there, Mark?
Well, obviously it's the beginning. The starts of these games lately have been really tough for the Boston Bruins to really get going. But it's good that the coaching staff of Jim Montgomery and John Gruden and others, Joe Sacco, who's also down on the bench, are getting to these guys mid-game and just saying we're losing it here. We need to really step up our efforts. And basically, the second half of a second period and the third period this season have been really strong for the Boston Bruins. I think they lead the league in third period goals, and especially from come from behind wins. But that's still a concern for me. But they got the 2 points at the end of the day, and you also gave it a little bit to former head coach Bruce Cassidy, who was on the other side of that bench, and because he got the win here in Boston, and it's just fitting that we get the win out there in Vegas. Zach, what are your thoughts on that game?
I think I agree with you guys. The third period's definitely been better than the first. There's a couple of games there in a row where it seemed like the first 2 minutes of every period was the worst hockey Boston could ever play. It's tough to see that happen, and obviously it was great, as you said, to get that win in Vegas. It felt kind of after that a shootout loss, it was tough. Because I kind of felt like we had that game, coming back down 3-0, all that energy and momentum, and unfortunately didn't work out the way we wanted it to. But, 3-1 was a great win in Vegas and kept us going, and we still haven't lost 2 in a row, which is something that I think is pretty impressive for a team like this, because obviously we knew they weren't going to be, go 80-2 this season, right? So we knew at some point it was going to break down, and I'm just glad it's still going pretty strong.
Yeah, and again, you mentioned it. They give up a goal 4 minutes into the first period, and it's sort of what we talked about last week is getting off to the hot start. And just because you can dominate third periods doesn't mean that you just decide to not show up in the first. Mm-hmm. And one of the big things, one of the themes I had all week was the penalties, which are quite frankly getting a little out of control. But you give up a power play goal to Mark Stone to start the game, you're not even 5 minutes into the game, you're already in the box, and then you're giving up power play goals. So that's an area of concern for me. But it is nice to see when you get, again, scoring all the way up and down the lineup. You get a goal from Bergeron, you get a goal from DeBrusk with Zaka and Hall as the helpers, and then you get one from Charlie Coyle, and Derek Forbort gets an assist. So it is nice to see that they still can have that consistency up and down the lineup. Again, that's a good Vegas team. So I think that's a really nice win, like you said, Zach, especially after the results of the first Vegas game. to get that win, I think, was a big one. Anything else on that game you want to touch on, Mark?
No, I mean, Linus Ullmark just continues to be having a stellar season, and a real catalyst for this team, really pushing forward to put the team on the shoulders when you need that big save and goal. There are a lot of shots on him, and he did a very good job of keeping him away, directing him away, and getting the 2 points as his season continues just to be an amazing one in itself. And we'll talk a little bit about later on about this goaltender and some of the struggles he went through. So very interesting article that was Emily Benjamin from NHL.com came out with.
Yeah, that was remarkable to read. I don't think I'd known anything about that situation. And we talk about off-ice things, I guess, while we're on Vegas. If anybody heard about what Alex Pietrangelo had to go through, his 4-year-old daughter started off with a cough and ended up, 3 weeks bedridden at a hospital in Florida. And, he stepped away from the team. And, of course, Bruce Cassidy being the guy that he is, said, you do what you have to do. And when you're ready to come back, you can come back. And I think he played his first game over the weekend and looks to be like that's a good situation. But, I got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old here at home, and I just can't imagine what that's like, what he's had to go through. So, lots of peace and love out there to Alex Pietrangelo and his family, because that's just something that, as a parent, you just never want to have to deal with.
Even just a humanity factor, I don't have kids, but I can absolutely understand why something like that would, family first, man, sport second, whatever, you just got to take care of your own. And it was a lesion on the brain, and there was something serious, and, hopefully, thoughts and continued prayers for his daughter to get better every day.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Zach. So moving forward here, the Bruins get a shootout win over the Islanders. I think it was our buddy Mike from Woburn on Twitter, who said that the Islanders are like eczema. They're really irritating and they never go away. But it was nice to actually get a win in the shootout, which, again, if I remember, took a while. Or maybe it was I get them confused. Maybe it was the following game where there was against the Kings, where there was the long shootout. But man, guys like Casey Cizikas, Josh Bailey, Brock Nelson, these guys just, boy, are they irritating, in a good way. You'd love to have them on your team, but, man, are they a pain to play against.
Yeah, Mike from Woburn is 100% correct. It's always tough, and I feel like, the first period was not the best for them, but Jake DeBrusk, the 2 goals really quick, that really gave some energy to the team, and he had a great game finishing it off with that beautiful shot in the shootout. The one part of the game that I think some people forgot about was when AJ Greer fought Matt Martin. And the one thing I said to my dad was like, Matt Martin's one of the only guys in the league that wears his helmet without the visor, and that should tell you something about Matt Martin. So that kind of sparks some energy, but I think overall it's a great game. And, some people don't like the shootouts and overtimes and those games going too long, the Bruins having to play long games like that. But to me, a win is a win, and to end it in a strong shootout like that was good for them. And again, that was 2 wins in a row, so keeping that momentum.
Yeah. Hats off to Jake DeBrusk. Continues to have a great season, really hunkering down on what he has to do personally and mentally, It's just good to have him, just putting 100% in and really just shutting a lot of the fans up that were clamoring for him to be traded or just off the roster in the past couple of seasons. But, for the folks out there that are patient with these younger players and give it a little bit of time, these are the benefits that we're reaping right now from having that patience. We're seeing younger players, they need to adapt a little bit more. It's not just coming into the league and being a Connor McDavid point per game or 2 point per game type of player. It's how you absorb all that stuff and so on. And also had to have the organization just to be behind this kid's back and say, listen, let's work through these problems together. We got to do that. It really shows you how much of a family this is and over the business. And, we just want to see players get better. And And I'm really liking this Jake DeBrusk right now, and I'm really, really happy that we re-signed him.
Yeah, and I don't consider myself a Tuukka Rask hater, and of course I don't want to stir that pot up any further. But Tuukka Rask admitted that he doesn't like the shootout, and quite frankly, he played like he didn't like the shootout. I think he kind of half-assed it there a lot, and it's nice to see two goalies who get into it. Man, they don't want to lose the shootout, Swayman or Ullmark. And that's something that I like to see, because once I knew the Bruins are going to a shootout and Rask was in net, I would just turn it off and go to bed, because I know he doesn't care. He just kind of, just whatever. It's nice to see the goalies getting into it. I think their chemistry, their back and forth is just the coolest thing in the sport right now. So, nice to see that win. Like you said, Jake DeBrusk, to me, the sort of guy. And then let's not forget Derek Forbort getting on the board with a shorty. That's always fun to see the big guy contributing offensively, which ended up being a pretty big goal. So,
definitely good to have Forbort back, playing a lot better. That PK suffered without him. It really did. And, I'm not saying that the PK is getting any better and stuff like that, but it's something that, that continues to be a work in progress.
Yeah, absolutely. And we move ahead to the game against the Kings, where again it went to a shootout. Of course, they lost in this one. I don't know if it's something about these West Coast teams. I know, sometimes there's a bit of a feeling out process when you're playing against teams you don't see all that much. Maybe it was just an off night, but they just didn't really seem like they necessarily had their best game. And of course that shootout went forever. But giving up a goal late, giving up 2 third-period goals and a goal late in the game to Adrian Kempa on the power play, because penalty's still an issue. What are some of your takeaways from that one there, Mark?
Better second period than I've noticed. Obviously, the third has been really good, but not in this particular game. This was their downfall. The second period was one that Taylor Hall got the goal and Marchand. And then in the third, they really let off the gas a little bit to let those 2 Adrian Kempe goals go in. But, get a point. You go to the shootout. You do the overtime. It's definitely not the type of game I want to see moving forward. I was really nervous about this game because the Boston Bruins do have a tendency to play down to their opponents. And LA is not a great team this season. They're very young, looking to get better. They get a lot of young talent. But I really thought that the Boston Bruins could have had a better effort in this game. And I didn't want to end up losing like this going into Saturday's action, playing another team that's really not good. But we'll talk about the outcome later on. But, I do, just getting a point here and a point there is good, but with Toronto really nipping at the heels in the Atlantic Division, this Boston Bruins team's got to scratch a little harder to get those 2 points.
Yeah, what are your thoughts, Zach? Did you happen to catch? I got to be honest, I missed a lot of this game, but what did you happen to notice from that game, Zach?
I missed everything up until overtime in the shootout because I had a TA broadcast to do that night. But it's been talked about, another goalie from the opposing team standing on his head. I mean, Phoenix Copley had an amazing game, similar to I think it's Vejmelka is the name of the Coyotes goalie.
Close enough.
Yeah, something like that. But there's not much you can do about overtime. I think they played well in overtime, and the shootout. Yeah, at 7 rounds, you're just hoping to end it. People are just hoping to go to bed at that point. But as Mark said, the third period was not great, giving up those goals and a power play goal as well. I feel like that it's just another one of those games where Boston has a lead and they might get a little bit lax. They kind of slow down a little bit. They don't play as fast or as focused as they could have, and it cost them. And I would have liked to have 2 points. That's all I can say.
Yeah, LA. There's something about them. I always feel like they have a roster full of guys I'd love on my team. Iafallo and Kempe, and I've loved Anze Kopitar for years and years, and They got Quentin Byfield down in the system. Boy, that guy would look great in the Bruins organization. So LA, they've had their ups and downs, but they always seem to be hard. They play hard, they play tough. So I guess I'd rather lose to a team like the Kings than the Coyotes. Like that one. And again, like I said last week, if you're going to lose, you might as well lose to Western Conference teams, where it doesn't beat you up too hard in the standings. And then over the weekend, we had the game against Columbus, which, as you mentioned, Mark, that team is not good. I didn't know who any of those guys were on that roster. But Coach Montgomery said that he was really disappointed in the way they played in the first period. I was very disappointed in the penalties, but they start the game with a 1-0 lead with an 8-0 shot advantage. They were cooking, and then it was penalty. And when your two best penalty killers are also your two best forwards, I don't want to waste Bergeron and Marchand's playing minutes on killing penalties. They're the best option for the penalty kill, and they don't need to waste their time and their effort and their energy killing penalties. So that to me was a big issue at the beginning. I will say the play that Pasternak made to keep the puck in the zone to lead to that first goal, I think Jack Edwards called it Bork-like. That was outstanding. It's great when you see a guy make a great play at the blue line and then it ends in a goal. That to me was great to see. So, sorry, I got some, my computer's popping up at me. But again, come third period, you put your foot on the throttle and you hammer it home, and that was a good team beating a not so good team. Mark, any other takeaways besides the celebration pregame, which we'll get into?
No, I mean, it was a decent game. I mean, the Bruins got the 2 points. Great to see Swayman get back into the game and get a confidence win. I really want to see how Jeremy plays against tougher talent, obviously, not the bottom of the barrel, because I believe in Jeremy. I think he's going to be a great goaltender. I just think that he's going through a little bit of struggles this season, whether you call it the sophomore slump or whatever. Still an important member of this team and this goaltending tandem with his hug buddy Linnaeus, and David Pasternak getting his 20th goal, and that's 7 straight seasons of 20+ goals. So good on him, driving up that contract that he's going to have to sign sooner or later. Hopefully sooner or later. We'll touch on that possibly later on too. But hey, it is what it is. Another game that the Bruins get the 2 points, but more importantly, we'll talk about it later. The Patrice Bergeron. But it's this homestand continues to be decent. The Bruins play really well at home, and hopefully that continues.
Yeah. What about you, Zach? Did you catch that game on Saturday?
Yeah, I did. A great power play day, 2 of 3. I mean, you can't be upset about that. I thought Krejci's goal was nice, and same with Pasta's in the first period. But the only thing about the game I really was frustrated at was that late power play goal by Laine. I mean, it should have been 4-1. I think that, again, they had their foot on the gas. Hall scored, Nosek scores, it's 4-1. The game's pretty much over, and it's just tough to see them give up a goal like that. They probably shouldn't have given up. But overall, I thought it was a great game, and as you said, the celebration and ceremony before was obviously kind of at the head front of what was happening that day. But I was worried about this game even beforehand, because I know that the Bruins last year had some pretty tough games after they celebrated someone, had a ceremony for someone. Like, I remember the Willie O'Ree, when they put his name in the banner in the rafters, they lost like 7-1 or 7-2 to Carolina, because obviously, right, when you're thinking about what's happening, the ceremony, that kind of stuff, you kind of get unfocused. So it was good to see them win 4-2. Thought it was a good game, and 2 more points on the board against the Columbus team that's been dealt with some terrible injuries.
One of my sort of takeaways, I guess, from the week, I'm concerned that they might, especially 5-on-5. I feel like they have 2 gears. They have the sort of off the cuff, go out there and not necessarily have a script. Use your talent however you can use it to make plays and to score goals. And then they have this sort of really predictable strategy that when you play teams like Columbus and you play teams like LA and they're game planning against you, you're just sort of feeding right into their game plan. The power play is predictable, but it can't be stopped. So, you go if Bergeron, nobody's yet to show that they can stop Bergeron in the bumper or they can stop Pasternak at the top of the circle. So I'm all right with that predictability, but I think that 5-on-5, especially from the top three lines, is starting to become an issue. And I'm not sure how they get out of playing that sort of style that is, I don't say easy to defend, but if you've done your game planning as an opposing team, you can hang with them 5-on-5. Does anyone else notice that, or is that something that I'm just sort of seeing?
No, it's a valid thing that you're seeing, Steve. Absolutely. My biggest thing with 5-on-5 is zone entries, and that continues to be something that teams really see when they look at video. They're seeing how the Boston Bruins come in, especially with a superstar like David Pasternak, and I'm not harping on the guy at all, but when he has the puck and he's skating up the ice full speed, I just really have no faith in him crossing that blue line and staying on sides and not giving a turnover. Brad Marchand's the same player. Really tough on the backhand just to give it to another guy that's skating the other way. So that's my biggest takeaway from like 5-on-5 zone entries and so on. I do like what I see when they do go to the left side and they happen to give it to a player like Taylor Hall. I think he's got a little more success rate, maybe a little more creativity. Deking away a player and so on. But, the long-winded answer, it's things got to get better. But this is how a Jim Montgomery system works in his first season. It's all work in progress. We still have to learn and execute, and I think that's something that's going to continue to happen. I mean, hey, we're like almost halfway. The season's halfway over. We still got a lot of hockey to play. So, I mean, nothing's done. Nothing's won. It's still, do what you got to do, but, execute a little bit better.
Yeah. How about you, Zach? You noticing anything out there 5-on-5, good or bad?
I obviously think it could be up and down. I don't think that, even if their 5-on-5 play was as high as we maybe want it to be, it's not always going to be great. I think that they can get away with having a bad game in 5-on-5 play and losing one. But as we get farther into the season, February, March, April, and into the playoffs, it's going to matter a lot more. And it's harder to have a bad game here or a bad game there when you're fighting for points. And, I think you guys can agree with me that, there's going to be a month or a couple of weeks where they're not going to play well. I mean, it's going to happen. It's bound to happen at some point. So it becomes more important, and I think Montgomery will push that more with his team in practices and in games as the season goes on. But right now, the power play and the PK are one of the best in the NHL, and I think that Montgomery's riding that, and so is the team.
Yeah, I found it interesting in his post game. He got really upset with them after the first period, and I think it was in second intermission. He looked at Bergeron and just said, "Hey, this is your locker room. I can sit here and jump and scream and throw stuff, but, you're the captain. You've been here longer than anybody else. You sort of kick him in the rear end." And I thought that third period was the best period that they played of the game. So, although he did say he doesn't think they're playing very good hockey, and I get where he's coming from. I also know that was very Cassidy-like. Like, that's what they didn't like from Cassidy, where they would have they won 3 out of 4, and it's like, well, we're not playing that good. It's like, well, what do you mean we're not playing that good? We won 3 out of 4. So, it doesn't bother me, but we are dealing with a different generation of hockey players that you don't want to piss off, I guess, because then they're going to shut it down. So, let's hope that's I think he has to pick his spots with things like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I do. I know exactly what you're talking about, but it also can be a motivating factor too. I mean, we talked about it just a little while ago when I said that this Boston Bruins team really needs to have better starts. And I think that might be a frustrating factor for a guy like Jim Montgomery, who's just really trying to get more of a 60-minute effort and not wait till the last gun's fired to like really push for the extra 2 points or even a point in the shootout or overtime. So, lots of things to continue to be worked on. But there's, where we're sitting right now, I mean, the Boston Bruins are a 50-point team right now, and we basically, at the half point of the season. So, I mean, I think I saw a number of like the Bruins are trending to have a 137-point campaign. That's just crazy to think about. Yeah. I'm not sure if it'll ever get there and so on, but if it does, wow, what a wagon this continues to be.
Yeah, I have a question here for Zach too, because I'm usually like a 7:00 game. By the time the kids are down and everything else, I don't sit down until it's like 7:45, which is great because I DVR it and then I know when the commercial breaks are coming and I can fast forward through everything. But you're up there in Maine, Zach. Why are all my commercials about Maine? Berlin City Auto. I don't know what that is. I've never been there. The Maine Lottery. I'm not playing that. What? I'm down here in Western Mass getting all these Maine ads. What's up with that, pal? Can you call the folks at Nesson or share the ad revenue or something? Like I can't take it anymore.
To be honest with you, I really thought that I was just seeing those ads because I'm in Maine, and I thought you guys were seeing different ads, so I'm surprised to hear that. I'm not sure what's up with Nesson. Maybe they like Maine so much. I see a couple things, about skiing or stuff in the winter, like some Saddleback Mountain stuff.
We see them too.
Yeah,
yeah. Too.
It's crazy. To be honest with you, I usually turn the TV off for intermissions and in between plays, or I switch channels to watch some other game. I'm there for the hockey. I'm there to see what's happening. I'm not a big fan of the Nesson broadcasts in general. I love Jack Edwards, Andy Brickley. I love, how it's kind of iconic at this point, what they've gotten to, but I'm more of a turn my phone on and check Twitter or ESPN in between plays or when there's a break in action than watching the Berlin City ads or whatever they break up on the TV.
There's nothing better than being behind, because the only problem with DVRing it is I can't be on Twitter because then I get spoiled. Yeah. You pick up that remote, you go beep, skip ahead 18 minutes, and then here we are at the beginning of the next period. It's like the greatest thing in the world. But
that's awesome.
And let's not forget real quick too, Swayman. Boy, I wanted that empty netter. I think the last goalie empty netter was in Springfield actually. But boy, a fraction of an inch, that would have just been so sweet.
Yeah, man. The Boston Bruins have never had a goalie that scored a goal. That would have put Swayman overboard on a lot of I would get a lot of people that have been really trashing him lately and wanted him traded or even sent down to Providence, which is crazy because he'd have to go through the waiver process. He's played more games than 60. So you don't want to get a player like that in the waiver wire will not last long. So that is just a dumb idea for those that are DMing me and Twittering me saying, just bring him down to Providence. He's on an ELC. No, but I mean, if he got that would have been awesome. Just imagine the goalie hug after that.
I know. Oh, it would have happened. It would have happened mid-game. He would have led the handshake line, and then it would have been hugs all around. So that would have been sweet. I want to talk about the ceremony that we mentioned, the Bergeron ceremony. But before I do, I want to give a quick shout out to our friends at Can I Wellness. Right, Can I Wellness.
Absolutely.
They have oral spray supplements, faster, better ways to energize, recover, to relax, to sleep. It's easy to use. It works fast. It's effective. It's a flexible dosing methods. You can get more information from them at cani-wellness.com. They're on social media as well. They have all kinds of different. They sort of show you the science behind what they do, and some of the different products that they have. That could work for you, but definitely check them out. Tell them that the guys at the Black and Gold podcast sent you. And for 25% off on the entire website, you can use the promo code BNG25. That's BNG25, 25% off the entire website. So definitely check them out. They're a good partner of ours. We're happy to have them on board. And if you're looking for something, you're just not feeling right, something's a little off, maybe you're 36 and you think you're still young, but you're actually getting old, Steve. maybe this would be the kind of thing that'll help you feel young again. So definitely check them out.
And I use it all the time for a 47-year-old, Mark. And an old bastard that I am. I use it when I go out, on school nights. The next day you got to go to work and you might be a little hungover. I use the Can I Boost and the Can I Mend. Those stuff I love them. And that, it works. It does work a little bit. It doesn't cure the whole thing, but it does make you feel a little better to get on with the day.
A little pep in your step.
Exactly.
So, prior to the Blue Jackets game on Saturday, they celebrated Bergeron's 1,000-point celebration. Do want to give a quick shout-out to Jake Zimmer, who is the public address announcer who took over for me. Great job. I don't think people realize how chaotic those things can be. There's always a lot of last-minute changes, last-minute script changes. Something doesn't go right. Somebody can't get the mats out in time. There's always weird stuff that happens. But watching the broadcast, it was seamless. At least it looked seamless from our perspective. So tip of the hat to Jake and Mike Beakey and TJ Hamilton and everybody else that was involved with putting that on. They all crushed it. Jake's really good at his job, and I'm glad that when I left with the PA job in good hands. But again, class all around. I mean, Bergeron is just the epitome of class. I think the organization recognizes that. It was nice to have video tributes from legends. What were some of your takeaways from that, Mark?
Just like you said, just a class player that Patrice Bergeron is, very humble. He almost, as much as he wanted to be there with his family and enjoy the moment, you could see in his face it was almost like, let's get going. Let's get the game. Let's roll on, because that's the way Patrice Bergeron really is. He's just one of those ambassadors to the league that is, first ballot Hall of Famer in my opinion, but in a class human being. And but I'm happy that the Boston Bruins recognize this tremendous milestone that has only been done by a few players. It was great to see Espo with some words, another 1,000-point player in the Boston Bruins organization, and followed by Ray Bourque, who was just an absolute legend as well, and a 1,000-point player. So, and in between, I heard that there were a lot of in between, commercial breaks and so on. They were playing videos from players and other folks that have been around Patrice Bergeron and so on. So that was kind of cool to see. And but it was just a great day for a guy that really deserves all the accolades he can get, and I'm just really proud as a Boston Bruins fan through and through that we have a player like this on our team. We are truly, truly spoiled human beings to be blessed with this type of guy that just does it on and off the ice. Community is a big thing for him. The visits to the hospital and so on. It's not just contract. This is coming from the heart, and this is why he's just a tremendous ambassador to this unbelievable sport.
Yeah, agreed. How about you, Zach? What did you take away from that?
And basically everything you guys said. I thought it was a great ceremony for a great player and someone in this Boston community. I thought it was great to see how much was put into the actual ceremony itself, even down to like the little detail of after the PA announcer would say something in English, he'd say it in French too. Like just those little things I thought was really, really cool, especially for him. And to see his family out there, to see all those legends, I know some people don't like Sweeney and Neely right now, but even to see them come out and just congratulate him, I thought was nice. And the one part of it that I thought was kind of funny at the end was when Marchand and Krejci brought the watch and the bottle of alcohol over. And when he took the picture, his daughter grabbed the bottle of alcohol, held on to it. And I was like, oh, okay. I was probably doesn't even know what that is, but I thought that was pretty funny. But it was cool to see all the people there. And they must have chanted Patrice or Bergie at least a couple of times during that ceremony. So great ceremony for a great player. And I'm sad that this might be his last year.
He can still bring it, huh? I mean, he can still play, It's like, it's crazy. What's that, Mark?
I just wanted to say that she was probably not the only underage person at that game that had alcohol in their hands.
Yeah, a couple, throwing it back a couple. I know. No, it's nothing was more reflective to me of Bergeron than when he saw Johnny Busick, and all he wanted to talk about was Johnny Busick. Johnny, how you feeling? You feeling okay? How's the family? How's this? How's that? Busick's there to celebrate him, and all he wants to do is check on Busick to make sure that that him and his family's doing well. And shout out to Boone Jenner, who they said in the opening faceoff, they're lining up waiting for the puck to drop, and he's, hey Bergie, congratulations, man. Like that. He's another guy that if he was in this town, we'd love him. Boone Jenner. But yeah, I grew up a huge Steve Yzerman fan. That was my guy, and to me, the closest thing to Steve Yzerman has been Patrice Bergeron. And I think we're so blessed to have, like you said, so blessed to have him in town, to watch him night in, night out. I don't think a guy like Marchand would have the career he would have without Bergeron. I think he'd be closer to a Brendan Gallagher, who's a nice player, but Marchand's had his issues. And I think a lot of getting him out of the rat mentality that he has come from the leader of that team, who is Bergeron. So I thought that was excellent.
Hey, on Behind the B recently, I know a lot of podcasts have already covered this and so on, but how about the locker room just like chanting one more year, and at the end, Patrice Bergeron just like, I'm not going anywhere. That was awesome. I mean,
Wolf of Wall Street, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be like a comforting thing for Boston Bruins fans to think about, especially me, myself. I mean, I really do think this team is strong. Great leadership with him and Foligno and so many others, McAvoy and blah, blah, blah. Great coaching between Montgomery and Gruden and the rest of the staff. But, if things don't get done this year, I think we still do have good building blocks to really, really push next year. Push the envelope next year. Get what you need to do. Address the right wing if you need to. You have a little bit of cap space. You obviously have to get Pasternak locked down and so on. But for me, if they don't get it done next year, I mean, this season, next year is the one to really, really go for it. And I think that Bergie's going to be back for one more season. I really have a good feeling about him, his health. He looks great. I really, seriously, he's getting older and he's getting better. These are trends that normally don't happen to aging veterans, but we're seeing it right now because he's just an animal, and I'm proud to have him on this team.
Yeah. Well, here we are about, we're a week from Christmas, so we're a week from New Year's. The Winter Classic, the John Henry Classic, as I call it, because, of course, John Henry has to buy the Pittsburgh Penguins and then we're going to have a game at my ballpark. It's like, who's he even going to root for, that freaking guy? But we did see the goalies, and we've seen a couple articles and a couple images of Ullmark and Swayman in their Winter Classic gear. Swayman wore it out, even though it was kind of a tough color contrast of the black uniform with the brown pads. And I got to be honest, I think the first shot on goal, the puck fell out of his glove, and he had to cover it on the ice. And I'm like, that's it. Go back to the old gear. Like, put a baseball in that thing and wrap rubber bands around it and stick it in the microwave. Do whatever it is you have to do. But like the new gear like freaked me out there for a little second. But I absolutely love the helmet tribute to Andy Moog. Right, that was Andy Moog's mask.
Yep.
Not to bring him up again, but I think most of the Tuukka Rask hate comes from the fact that he never changed his mask. And I still thought that was such a minor league looking mask. Like if, you see somebody you don't like and their sight of their face irritates you, maybe just a different mask. People wouldn't have been so mad at him all the time.
Yeah.
But what do you think about the gear and the upcoming game at Fenway?
Go ahead, Zach.
I originally was thinking about getting tickets, and then I tried to imagine myself in Fenway. And obviously, I'm not going to drop a couple thousand on seats right up in front. I would sit back, save a little money. But in Fenway, it's really hard to see. I'm like, you know what? I'll sit inside in my warm house on January 2nd and watch that game. The jerseys, first initial thought, I was like, these are awful. And every day I see them, I'm like, yeah, these are okay. I like these. These are nice. But the Ullmark mask is really cool. I thought it was really cool what they came up with for a design. I like that on all of his masks, he has something in tribute to his family. I know on the back of this Winter Classic mask, he has little bears for his daughters. So it's just great to see that. And I think the color schemes will come together for the Winter Classic out, in Fenway. But I'm excited to see, we'll get to see Bergeron versus Crosby. They'll get to see Bergeron on national stage, like right up in front with nobody else around for one of the few more times at least this season. So it'll be a good game, and all that stuff with Fenway and Pittsburgh. I don't even care about that stuff. It just goes to show that Fenway is pretty historic.
Yeah, as the goalie guru here on the show, I was stoked to see Linus Ullmark come out for a practice at the Warrior Ice Arena with the Andy Moog mask, which is just a class touch. But also, many forget that his pads are kind of like a salute to Byron Dafoe back in the day, and I thought that was pretty cool with the old iTex, the iTech kind of patent. I used to have iTex back in the day. They don't make pads anymore. That's how old I am. But I just thought it was awesome. Swayman with the old style, like black leather. I guarantee those don't soak up water like my old pads used to. That's why my quads are like huge. Like me and Oscar Steen, we were like separated at birth from the legs down. So, well, the legs down, yeah, whatever, from the waist down. But no, we got big, it's really cool to just have a game come back to Fenway Park, regardless of the money factor and who owns it and so on. I just love the outdoor game. I love pond hockey. I love playing. That's what I grew up on and so on. And to give back to the memory of playing outside for many of these unbelievable world-class athletes is awesome. And I'm happy that it's in Boston. Wish I was going to be able to go, but like Zach, I'm not paying $1,000. I'm all set for that. I'm excited to, getting closer and closer to the Winter Classic and the national stage. I'm pumped and I'm ready for it. And the jerseys, I will say again, I'm not a meth bear dude. I hate the meth bear.
I was going to ask you, meth bear or poo bear guy?
I hate poo and I hate meth.
All right.
But this jersey does something for me because when you put the Boston over the meth bear, it still just looks like a shoulder patch to me. It really doesn't bother me much anymore. But if it was all meth, that's a XX no way. I would not want a jersey with complete meth on it.
By the way, I agree. I went to the they had a couple of college hockey games at Fenway, and I think I sat behind Pesky's pole, and he can't see anything. It's a real tough. Gillette's a much better venue for that, but John Henry doesn't own Gillette, so we're not going to do that. But I got to be honest, I kind of like the Pittsburgh one. I mean, I always, if I wasn't a Red Sox fan, I always just like the Pittsburgh Pirates. Their colors, they're, again, black and gold. I don't know. They're just simple. A couple of stripes with a nice big old school P in the middle. I think it'll be a very aesthetically pleasing matchup between these two. So, again, New Year's Day, yeah, I'm going to be like you guys. I'm going to be hungover, sitting on my couch, watching that one. I'm not going there. But I will say it's the one game that, when I was debating coming back and announcing for the Bruins again, it was the one game that I'm like, that's the one I want to do. I want to announce a hockey game at Fenway, and I'm not going to get that chance to do it. And that's, that is what it is. But, unless I'm sitting up there and doing the PA booth, wearing 9 pairs of pants because it's going to be freezing, and they don't have, again, John Henry's Palace isn't built for outdoor stuff, so they don't even have, heating in there. So that would have been something to see. It would have been a career highlight, but that's okay. I got kind of more important things to do. So, but it's cool. It's cool that we're 2 weeks out. Time's starting to fly a little bit. It always does at this time of the year. So let's see. We got a lot of other stuff to go over here. But I guess while we're talking about the goalies, Mark, do you want to touch a little bit about Linus Ullmark? The article that came out, maybe for some folks who hadn't heard about or hadn't read about some of the struggles that he had. And, I remember seeing him in Rochester and thinking there's really not much here, but I didn't realize he had a lot of other stuff going on. So maybe you could just fill us in on what his situation is and what he's been dealing with.
Yeah, Emily Benjamin from NHL.com. I've met her several times. Been in the press box with her a bunch. A fantastic writer, great person. Wrote this article, and basically Linus came out for like the first time and mentioned that he struggled for a while earlier in his career, particularly in Buffalo, while his father was going through a very trying alcoholism kind of episode, or not an episode, but it was just something that affected him because of his dad's health and so on. You know, alcoholism is a disease and so on. And some people can control it and some people just don't have that control. And obviously Linus's father was one of those that just really had a problem, and it affected Linus's life and what he did moving forward. But it's good to hear that in the article that he's getting the help that he needs, and things are starting to get better for him. And obviously you could see it on the ice with Allmark's game as well. You know, I always say that I always like to give a player an opportunity if you sign for like a year or more than 1 year is an adjustment period here in Boston. And I think last season when he got in 41 games, I thought he did well in his first season. But what we're seeing now is a more comfort, whether it be himself and his family, but also, you know, deeper in the family when it comes to like your parents and the ones you really, really, really care for are the ones that sometimes you don't perform the best because you have something in the back of your mind that's constantly there. So I'm really happy for that article because it opens up a lot of, you know, things when it comes to humanity. It's not just sports, you know. And I'm glad that everybody's getting better. Linus personally and mentally, and obviously his father with alcohol. So yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, and real quick, especially being overseas, right? Like if you're living down the road, or your dad's in one end of the state, you're in the other end of the state. You can visit, you can be a part of it, you can assess the situation with your own eyes and ears. And you know, people talk about Krejci going to the Czech Republic. Well, you don't know what's going on with him or his family or his life, or like you just don't know. So you got to give them the benefit of the doubt, and it's got to be so much harder when your family is, you know, whatever, 6 time zones away and halfway across the globe. Like you know, you can't actually be a part of it. You want to help, but you really can't. It's not like was established enough to where he can say, I need a week off to go home, you know? So I like you said, I think it can be very relatable for a lot of other people. I mean, there's a lot of people that are dealing with the same thing, and whether it's hockey players coming out about, you know, depression or anxiety or alcoholism in the family or drugs, whatever it is, opening up to it, I bet makes the player feel better, but it also just creates a little bit more of a relatable feeling to other people and other fans that are going through the same thing, you know?
Yeah. Zach, did you have a chance to read the article?
I was able to skim through it. I obviously, being on Twitter, I get the gist from seeing other people repost it or stuff like that. I would say the exact same thing you guys are saying. You know, people are always going through things that you don't see, and it's a lot different for sports athletes because they have all these personal issues, and they have to go on the ice or on the court or on the field, and they have to perform for fans. And it's tough to see people nagging on, you know, players like this, or nagging on people, and to think, you know, they might be dealing with something at home or with their family that's tough. And so, you know, as you said, I'm glad that his father is getting the help he needs, and that Linus is doing better emotionally with it. But it makes you, you know, take a step back and think, okay, you know what, the next time, you know, Bergeron had a bad game, or Bergeron's been playing really bad, you know, maybe he's got something, or this guy or that guy. It's not anybody in particular, but it does make you take a step back and look at more than just the sport and how a person is playing, and maybe how that is impacted by what might be going on at home or in their life.
And, you know, shout out to the Bruins, because we don't know those conversations, but if he's at the point where he's comfortable enough talking about it, publicly, and he's comfortable enough in his life to where he can compartmentalize it a little bit better. The Bruins probably had something to do with that, right? I mean, he probably is talking to team psychiatrists or teammates or management, but there was definitely conversations had there and that were productive. And, whoever that is, whether it's the psychologist or whoever, tip of the hat to the organization for just sort of recognizing it and helping him get through it. I mean, they had to have. So tip of the hat to Linus Ullmark and his family. Hope everything is getting better and continues to get better. And hey, he's playing it. They're talking about they're talking about him setting records this year and putting together a year that's unheard of. And there's even a little bit of Vezina talk out there as well. So we'll see what happens the rest of the way here. But moving forward a little bit here, we do want to mention one more time our good friends at betonline.ag. They are a big helpful sponsors to us here. They're a great organization. They do a lot of good for us and our brand and our product. And if you want to help support us, you can always go there and use the promo code CLNS50. Part of what that does is let them know that you heard of them through us. So
Absolutely.
Mark, we know Mark too, Yeah. Being a former radio guy, it's when you listen to the radio, they go, use the promo code so-and-so. That's sort of how we get to continue to do this every week. So
Absolutely.
The more support you can give to BetOnline AG from us, the more we can keep doing this for you guys. So
BetOnline.ag remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season. Everything from the NBA, NHL, NFL, and bowl season to esports and the World Cup. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup information, player news, and game trends all at betonline.ag. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We're the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head over to the betonline.ag website to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first cash deposit. Make sure you use that promo code CLNS50 to receive all your fantastic rewards. BetOnline.ag, it's where the game starts.
Nice. Love it. And big thanks to our friends at betonline.ag. As we sort of move along here, I'll ask you guys a pretty simple question. Do either of you guys want Jonathan Toews?
Go ahead, Zach.
That's a tough question. I think he's a great player. I think obviously age is something that's affecting him. He's getting older. Off the top of my head, I don't know what that contract looks like. I'm assuming if he were to become a free agent, we were to sign him, it'd be a very low contract. But I think we're in this time where let's just say I was general manager, if I'm going to bet on anybody to go another year, I'm going to bet on Krejci and Bergeron. I don't want to bring in somebody who's kind of after their prime, who is getting a little older. I'd rather have Bergeron for another year or Krejci for another year. I think it's time to go into our younger players, to bring some younger guys up from Providence. I just don't think Toews fits in this lineup. And I know you didn't say Kane, but I know people have talked about Kane. I don't want Kane either. I'm good with what we got. I don't think any big moves need to be made.
Yeah, I'm not. I heard that the rumor was squashed a little bit. I think it was from Jimmy Murphy from Boston Hockey Now. But as a general manager, you're not doing your job if you're not picking up the phone and at least exploring. There is some good benefit to having a player like that in your lineup, but I really wouldn't want to mess with the chemistry that Charlie Coyle has on that third line. Because if you bring in a guy like Toews, it's going to go Bergeron, Krejci, Toews, and then Coyle on your fourth line. I'm not sure if I'm ready to mess that up quite yet. He is an elite talent. He can still put the puck in the net and be a threat on the man advantage and so on. But I'm still at a point right now. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I think Thomas Nosek is playing very well this season. I'm eating a ton of crow on that one because I wanted him moved after the preseason effort that he put forth. And I was not thrilled about that. And I was really on board with having him out of there and having a guy like Johnny Beecher come up, a young guy, big size, kind of plays that no-stick type of game, but doesn't glide as much. But obviously Johnny's got some struggles down in Providence right now. But I just, it's not broke, so I'm not ready to fix it yet. And if you think about the logistics of a move like this, I don't want to give up any young talent, whether it be a first round, a second round, third round, when this Boston Bruins team needs to replenish this prospect pool. And I don't want to give up for a rental, because I think that even if Kane came here, much like Taves came here, much like what we talked about recently on Twitter and even on this program about Patrick Kane, is I think both of them would be rentals. And I think that's way too much of a price to even pay for a rental. Taves is on a $10.5 million contract. Obviously, that is taken away by the games that's played this year. But I still think that that AAV is still going to be a hindrance on, I don't know how Chicago is going to eat half of that. I don't think they would, to be honest with you. So I don't think, if you look at all the logistics and you think about all that, I don't think it would ever work out, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the money would work, but what if I told you that you could get both of them to sign in the offseason for a lot less money, and you take Kane and Taves, and let's say Krejci doesn't come back? Because I don't know what Krejci's future is,
For me, honestly, if that was to happen, now and I'm going to use a word that I don't normally use all the time, but you're cock blocking other prospects that are down in Providence. You're cock block, the Beechers, the Merkulovs, and so on that are playing well down in Providence. You're not giving them an opportunity to secure a roster spot next season. Much like what they did with Foligno before he signed, but we saw 1 year of Foligno and everybody wanted him out. In year 2, Foligno, we all want him here. I don't know. I don't see how it would work, to be honest with you. That's a lot of massaging to the cap space. We're up against it. I haven't looked at cap friendly yet, but I think it's really close to being right up there at the ceiling.
Yeah, I don't know how you make it work without losing some pieces that are core parts to this. I think that right now Taves is the biggest thing that Taves adds to any team is locker room leadership, playing the right way, and we just went on and on and on about all those things that Bergeron does well. So exactly. I brought up Steve Yzerman. The two closest things to Steve Yzerman are Taves and Bergeron. So I don't think you need a facsimile of Bergeron. A diet Bergeron coming in on your second or third line. I love Jonathan Taves throughout his career. But I'm with you guys. I don't think it's worth shuffling all the deck chairs around just to bring in a guy in who isn't even, he's 70% of what he was a couple years ago. So, but yeah, both of those rumors have been out there, Taves and Kane, not just linked to the Bruins, but linked to teams all across the league. And I'm kind of like you, Mark, and Zach, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I had a thought. I think this was in the Vegas game. I always kind of have one player that it's not that I forget that they're there. I always underappreciate their value. And I'm wondering if there's a player on this roster for you guys that kind of fits that. And for me, it's Pavel Zacha. I liked Eric Halla, but I think that this was a fantastic trade. This guy is just working out so well. I rarely hear him. I don't know if I've ever heard him speak, but he's always in the right spot. He seems to fit in exactly what it is they're trying to do. Power play, penalty kill. He'll play center. He'll play the wing. The guy will kind of do whatever you need. And this is the kind of guy that I wouldn't mind seeing here he's a young kid. I'd keep this guy on the roster as long as he wants to be here. Is there a guy on the roster that you guys find maybe a little bit underappreciated throughout this season?
I would say right now it's my whipping boy per se would be Craig Smith. Great guy and so on, good locker room presence and everything like that, but he's got to do more on the ice, in my opinion. When he does get sat or benched, it seems like he has those moments that he really pushes to be hard, but there's no consistency there at all. Moving forward, I would definitely believe that if we're going to really make a serious run, it's either that guy picks his game up and shoots more, like we've all known him to be that big high percentage shooter, get pucks on net, create opportunities, and so on. If it doesn't work out anytime soon and he doesn't get any better, I really want to see that. I'm not hating on the player at all, to be honest with you. It's just that roster spot should be, given to somebody a little more deserving, in my opinion, regardless of NHL history or not. You got to look at a player like Vinny Lettieri, who's the leading goal scorer or point getter down in Providence. Maybe he gets an opportunity if Craig Smith doesn't work out, if you want to do it internally. I honestly don't think that Craig Smith would garner another trade and another contract to come on, and one that you have to continue to massage that salary cap. I would just like to see Craig moved if maybe even a higher draft pick. I know a third round's not going to get it done the way he's playing. I don't even know a fifth round could get it done, but maybe a sixth or seventh just to get that roster spot off and the money down. I know Craig Smith makes a little more than $3 million, if not $3 even. But to me, you just got to do what you got to do. And if you could do it internally, great. But if not, and you still need to address that right side, you still have time to do that.
Yeah, I another guy they like in the locker room though too. He's another one that they all really kind of like. Zach, is there a guy that you think is either underappreciated or maybe a little overvalued so far on the roster this year?
I think it's tough. I think most guys have contributed at least in some value or some area this year. One person I've always thought was underappreciated or looked at in the wrong way was Charlie Coyle. When he first came in, or at least a couple seasons ago, 125, I think it's his contract, something around there. That was a lot, and a lot of people didn't like that dollar value for how he was playing, but I feel like he always gets it done, scores a goal, makes a great play. He's always working well, and I'm happy to say that Charlie Coyle is our third-line center, not our second, or has to be our first or whatnot. And I think that he's deserving of that dollar value. I also like that he's a Massachusetts guy. I mean, he's bringing that kind of energy into the locker room and seems to definitely work well and flow well with his teammates. But I think that he's somebody the Bruins should keep around. I think sometimes he's looked at as someone who just kind of falls in the ranks and isn't looked at, but I feel like he's always making a name for himself, and he's had pretty good seasons for Boston, at least. Never really has disappointed me. But I have heard some people saying, he's too much money right there. You got to get rid of him. But I think he's definitely worth what the Bruins are giving.
Consistency for me is the biggest thing with Charlie Coyle, and point production. And that's what we're seeing this year is I'm eating a ton of crow. Charlie goal scorer is something that I wanted to see when he got traded here from Minnesota. It wasn't the draft pick and it wasn't the loss of Ryan Donato. It was just when he was with Minnesota, I always said that he would go 12, 20 games without a point. Those stretches of inconsistency kind of worried me. And I really wasn't on board with let's see what a new environment could do for a player like this. Because even when Charlie came here, he was still inconsistent. But the puck possession, I started to notice a lot more in his game because the consistency of seeing him all the time. I really didn't watch a lot of freaking Minnesota games before he got here. But this year, it just seems that he is more bought in. Maybe this is the message that Jim Montgomery is sending, that everybody has a little bit of a longer leash when it comes to creativity and getting to the net. And I think that a player like Charlie Coyle is a benefiting factor of that. The guy's deadly when the goalie gets backed into the post or the crossbar. Oh, when he has space, it's bar down all the time.
Yeah, I just love the fact that when he has the puck and when he wants to, you can't take it from him. and he'll just skate around in circles, and he'll take on 4 or 5 guys, and you cannot get the puck from him. It's amazing at his size that he can just hang out of the puck. You need a line change, and he could just give him the puck, and 4 guys can get out of there, and he'll just hang on to it in the corner, and 4 fresh guys will come on. And but you're right, that I need that more consistently. I need him to. He has the ability to be a force, and I think that's something that we haven't seen all that consistently. But he's also lucky that the top 3 lines are blazing so well right now that it's not really the top priority. So interesting stuff. Before we take a look at the upcoming games, we do have 3 games coming up this week. I did want to just talk real quick to Zach about about not only about you, but what's going on with the Maine Mariners. I want to know a little bit about a newer franchise. What's going on up there? How are the prospects? How is the arena? How's the fans? What can you tell us about what's going on up there in Maine?
Well, the one thing I think I like the most about Maine is that it feels really local. It feels like it's like a Portland community, I think is what I would call it. They sold out for the first time the opening game this year, which was great. The Cross Insurance Arena isn't really a hockey arena. It's more for like events. So like they'll have concerts there, or they'll have WWE stuff there. They'll have and anything you can think of, they have it there. So it doesn't always have like a hockey-esque kind of feel to me, but it's a great place, and definitely a hardcore fan base. A lot of people love to go to those games. When it comes to prospects, I think the one thing, and I can say this with confidence, is that you're not seeing guys that are really Providence-worthy in Maine. When they are Providence-worthy, they're going up. Like when Curtis Hall came down for 8 games, he lit it up. I mean, he was scoring goals. He was moving the puck better than almost everybody on the ice, whether that was for Maine or the opposing team. And then when they needed him back, he was just gone like this. So they Providence brings up players whenever they need it or whenever they see that potential. So you're not always there isn't really a lot of like someone that I could say, wow, this guy is rare for the ECHL. He shouldn't be here, because usually it's guys that are working on their game. They're younger. They're coming into the league, and they're all fighting to move up. They're all fighting to play at higher levels. That's what they all want to do. It's tough to say that like out loud, that nobody really wants to be there, but it's not in like a bad way. It's more of like they want to make Providence. They want to make the Bruins, so they want to maybe try somewhere else and find it there. I mean, players are always moving around so much, but they definitely bring it every night. And the ECHL is a different environment. It's not a lot of strategic play. It's more of counterattacking and moving the puck fast and getting it up. And there's obviously a ton of players, but guys like Pat Shea, I mean, so fast, so energetic, got so much energy inside him, especially when he's playing defense. Same for a guy like Kelty Jerry Leon or Alex Olivier Voyer, who, was in Providence to start the year. So definitely a lot of good prospects, guys that I've seen that I could say, maybe a time in Providence, but I feel like this year in specifically Providence, it has an overload of players, lots of players available. So maybe not the best opportunity right now for the Mariners, but I mean, they're sitting around 500, right where I thought they were going to be, which is pretty good.
Where's Patrick Shea? Patrick Shea's from Marshfield.
Yes,
so
he is.
Good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another another Massachusetts native is Cam Askew.
Mm-hmm.
He's a real tough power forward to play for. Long time he played for the South Carolina Stingrays for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Went to BC for a very short time before going to the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. But when you talk about the Maine Mariners and the growth up to Providence and the NHL eventually, and more particularly is the Bruins. This is the second full season of an affiliation with the Maine Mariners. And last year, I want to use Justin Brazeau as a player that took advantage of that growth. Last season, Justin put up some really good numbers in Maine and got the call up to Providence and eventually signed a 2-year deal. So he's in Providence now, big kid. he's offensively gifted for the size that he is. I wish he put the puck in the net more. But that's just the type of growth that you're seeing. It's great to have these affiliates around because not only if somebody in Providence is injured, you can call up somebody from Maine, but it's also a place for, like Zach said, there's a lot of players on the Providence Bruins roster that are just not getting the playing time that they deserve. So they go to Maine to get that time. It's not it is demotion, but it's more or less we need you skating on a regular. We don't need you just practicing and so on. So it's a great place to go. A multi-level affiliate like that is very beneficial to the Boston Bruins organization, as well as the 31 other NHL clubs out there. So Maine's a great place to go if you're a fan. If you know, I like going up there. I stay at the Holiday Inn, which is right down the street from the Cross. I like going to the bars and the restaurants around. My favorite place to go is the Thirsty Pig to go grab a couple IPAs and a world-class hot dog. You know, it's just stuff like that makes Maine a very attractive place, and it has been for minor pro hockey for so many years. So it's good to have hockey back in Maine. I remember when the AHL was there with the Portland Pirates and then obviously the Mariners that were the Flyers affiliate and the Bruins affiliate back in the day, and now they're the East Coast affiliate. So I like me some Maine hockey, and they, like you said, they sit in the fourth position in the North Division with an 11-10-1 record, 23 points. There's a lot of good things. But one player I really wanted to talk to Zach about was Jack Studnicka got traded to the Vancouver Canucks. He's playing pretty decent out there, but we got a defensive prospect and we got a goaltending prospect, and his name is Michael DiPietro. Was on loan out in Abbotsford most recently, but then the transaction happened, I think, a month ago, maybe less than a month ago, when he reported to Maine and has played there so far. So a lot of people don't know what's going on with Michael DiPietro and where he's sitting in the Bruins' depth in goal. But Zach, can you tell us a little bit how Michael's playing and just some insight on what you're seeing and from being a person around the team?
Yeah. So looking at his stats, I wrote him down. He's 4-1. He's got a 3.21 goals against average and a 902 save percentage, and that really kind of does him dirty because his only loss was a 9-6 loss against they were playing Newfoundland, and I got to say, one of the hardest games I've ever had to tweeting 15 goals from the Mariners account. That was crazy. It was just goals left and right. And that was a tough game for him, but that was also his first game. And four wins for him in a row. He won last night in Adirondack 3-2. He's definitely more of an agile goalie. I compare him to the other goalie, Francois Brassard, who's very positional. He likes to just, left to right, not really moving around or diving out to make saves. And DiPietro is the exact opposite. He will throw his body around to make a save, and he's had some pretty good ones as well. I think it's so tough because he's in now a situation where I think the Bruins are really solid, and same with Providence with goalie prospects, Kyle Kaiser, Brandon Bussi, Jeremy Swayman. There's not a lot of room for him to progress even that one level up right now with how Keith Kincaid and Bussi and all those guys are playing. But he's definitely been successful in Maine. I think he's fitting in well with the team, and he's definitely someone to keep an eye out on. I'm not sure if he'll stay in Maine for a long time or what will happen in Providence with goalie prospects. I'm not sure what's going to happen to Kincaid or what might happen to Kaiser, but he's definitely someone to keep an eye on, and I think he's done very well so far besides that first game, which was a crazy game.
That's great. Good stuff. Yeah, I'll have to go up there and check out a game. I think we're going up to Maine maybe in the fall, in the winter, February-ish. So maybe I'll have to go up there and check out a game.
Bissell Brothers. You got to go to Bissell Brothers.
All right, I'll write that down. Bissell Brothers. Before I forget, Mark, do we have a call on the hotline?
We do. We have one this week. And hopefully we get some more. Zach, hint, hint. Just kidding, my friend. But it is 978-504-2727 if you want to get involved. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We are worldwide. I don't care. My phone does not ring. So if you want to call me at 4 o'clock in the morning, that's fine. So let's get Gail's call up and her question, which is a very interesting one. And we kind of touched on it on the pre-show. But here's Gail. Thank you, Gail, by the way. Truly appreciate you. And Gail is covering the Bruins alumni game as a media member at Warrior Ice Arena. This is for the Matt Light Foundation. So she's going to be there interviewing players and getting some article stuff out. So shout out to Gail for taking the ball and running on that one. But here's her question.
Hey, Mark and Steve. It's Gail, B&G writer. The reason why I'm calling is to ask your thoughts on the NHL's thoughts on possibly extending the schedule to 84 games from 82 to 84 to generate more division play. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think they should extend it, or do you think that they should eliminate some of the Western Conference play? Look forward to your answers. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
Interesting question. This was basically coming out of the Board of Governors meetings. And as much as I want more divisional play, because if you look at it, we're only playing, we don't play Montreal that much at all this season. Very unfortunate for a historic rivalry like this to have been cut short by games. But I'm all for division play and so on. I don't know if I want to go higher into the season. Players are already complaining about the preseason being way too long. Like, it should only be a couple games, not 6 to 8 game schedule and so on. Yeah, I mean, I really want to get back into playing more division and especially teams like Montreal. And I get the whole fan thing. If you're a season ticket holder in the 32 cities around the NHL, you want to see a player like Patrice Bergeron come to your town. You want to see Crosby and McDavid and so on, because it's just, that's what draws tickets. It's not only that you're rooting for your team, but you also want to see these high-class athletes perform on your sheet of ice. But I would honestly take away a little bit of the Western games, maybe not travel so much out west and so on, and kind of keep it all to the east and facilitate a schedule that can have more games against Toronto, more games against Montreal, more divisional play, like Gail suggested. So, that's very much my long-winded answer about that. What do you got, Zach?
I agree. I think the answer is not extending the season, but changing how many games you're playing against Eastern divisional rivals compared to Western rivals or other teams. 84 games or 86 or 90 or however many they're going to add to it, it just increases this burnout. Players getting injured, players being tired, having to go from 82 games to an entire playoff series and trying to put all that energy into that. So I think it would be great to have more games against Montreal, more games against, original 6 teams, Detroit, Toronto, stuff like that, even Chicago. But I don't think that adding games helps anybody except for Bettman. It gives him more money in his pocket, and that's who Bettman is. I don't hate him as a commissioner, but I mean, it is what it is. So I think 82 is perfect. I think it's a great amount, and I think it would be nice, as you said, to see the Canadians come to town, or to see Boston go up to Montreal, or see more games against the Maple Leafs. Like, my dad's a Rangers fan. I like that, the Rangers play Boston at least 3 times a year. Like, that's something I enjoy. So, West Coast teams are always tough. So I think 82 is the right number.
Hey, Zach, real quick, you can tell us why he's a Rangers fan.
It's a long story, I guess. I mean, he's a lot of family in New York, and so when he was growing up, the Mets were on the TV, the Rangers were on the TV. A funny story: his cousin, who lives in New York, used to be a Russian translator for the Russian players back for the Rangers in the 80s and the 90s. So she used to translate all that stuff, and she got to drink out of the Stanley Cup, which is pretty cool when they won.
Cool.
Yeah, but
that's awesome.
Yeah, so he loves the Rangers, and I mean he's delved into that team a lot. So the toughest days in my household is when the Bruins play the Rangers because there's a lot of competition going on.
That was a great story. Thanks, man. I always get interested in why fans. Now, is your father originally from Maine too?
Yes. So yeah, he was born in Maine. Some of his family is from the New York area around. I can't remember what town, but I remember going up there a few times when I was younger, or a few down there, I should say, to see them. But yeah, he was born in Maine, and he loves going to Bruins games too. Like we go together even when they're not playing the Rangers. But yeah, down deep is the New York is in his blood. Yeah,
that's awesome. Love hearing stuff like that.
Real quick on the schedule thing, I'm kind of with you guys. I would alternate divisions. So, I mean, one year the East, one year the Atlantic plays the Central, the next year the Atlantic plays the Pacific. You know, no, and then because that opens up 16 more games where you can have against original 6 teams. You can have it against Canadians, Maple Leafs, Senators. The other thing they could do is what the NFL does, where if you finish third in the Atlantic, then you're scheduled to play the team that finishes third in the Pacific and the third in the Central. And if you finish last, then you play the last place team in the third in the Central. It also helps the balance, schedule balancing too. So you're not just having the first place team wipe out the 8th place team. But I don't think it's more games. And then, you know, you ask them for more games and then you go to the playoffs where you're playing triple overtimes. I think it's too much to ask. But I would alternate every year. And that way, if you want to come see McDavid, you know that not this season, but the next season they're going to play Edmonton, or so you can have that schedule balance. But I want Montreal 6-7 times, and I would also do the home and homes. I love home and homes. The home and home on a Saturday, a Sunday against Toronto, a home against Montreal. I mean, that's where you really build the rivalry. That's where things can get intense, can get a little nasty. So that would absolutely be my solution there. But that was a great question from Gail. We appreciate it. We appreciate all the work that she does here content-wise. And, again, anyone else wants to get involved and call in, we're more than happy to have you. We're happy to answer your questions. And, we want to get a sort of a feel from everybody out there as to what they're thinking about too. So, Mark, anything else you want to bring up or discuss before we just take a quick look at what we have coming up next week?
We're looking for writers. We're looking for writers to cover the NHL, the AHL, the East Coast Hockey League. They don't say East Coast Hockey League anymore. I got to remember ECHL. But if you live in Portland, Providence, or Boston, and you want to go cover a team, and you have some writing skills or podcasting skills, or you want to start a podcast on our network, it's a Bruins-related show with your individual friends and family. It doesn't matter. If you have a passion for the Boston Bruins and you can create good quality content, you have a home here at B&G. Please get in touch with me at Black and Gold Productions LLC@gmail.com. Send me a cover letter and a resume, and we'll get you on. We've just brought on like 6 new people. 4 of them, I think, are reaching out from Emerson College down in Boston, which is it's a great school for a journalist to go to and so on. And we got Ben Albier and somebody else that I can't remember her name right now. She's new, so. If you want to join this B&G freight train, let me know. Certainly get you on board.
That's awesome. Love it. And I appreciate. That means I'm not the new guy anymore. So that's fantastic. I'm already not the new guy. But yeah, looking ahead, we do have 3 games coming up this week between now and Christmas. Monday, they will take on the Florida Panthers, a team that obviously last year just was through the roof points wise. It seemed like they were a freight train that couldn't lose. And then of course they get in the playoffs and they sort of wet the bed. But it's only probably a matter of time till they start playing better hockey. I think they're too talented to not. So, you want to kind of keep the foot on their neck when that comes on Monday. Thursday night, I think will be so interesting. We've been talking about these West Coast teams. The West Coast teams have been giving the Bruins some trouble. And Thursday night they play Winnipeg. Winnipeg's 29-1. They are central, second in the Central. They're playing really good. They got a really nice mix of older veterans and young kids. Like, I can't wait to see Cole Perfetti play. I just think he was a really cool prospect. So I always love Mark Scheifele's game. So and Logan Stanley, the little Zdeno Chara, it's whatever he is, 6'7", 260 or whatever he is. He's always fun to watch too. So that Winnipeg game on Thursday will be a good one. And Friday, this is something that sort of drives me nuts because this is now 3 times where the Bruins have had a back-to-back with travel. And if you look back at their first loss of the season, they played a home game at home. Then they went up to Ottawa and lost the next night. I don't understand. This is now 3 times where they've had to go back-to-back games with travel. I don't like that. I think the league needs to do something about that. And again, it's not like they're going to New Brunswick. But, you know, they do. They got to go from home against Winnipeg to Friday night at New Jersey. So enjoy that holiday traffic while you're sitting trying to get through New York City. I hope they fly.
And they do it later on in the month. They got Ottawa, and then they play New Jersey again
on Tuesday and Wednesday. That's even more travel because they got to go at Ottawa to at New Jersey. I don't know why this is a thing. I don't like that at all. I infuriates me. But especially the way New Jersey's playing, I think that should be a marquee matchup. Give me 2 well-rested teams ready to go at each other, top Absolutely. Of the conference standings on the line. I haven't checked New Jersey. I don't know if they play the night before either, but those are going to be great games. Yeah, 2 games against New Jersey in a week. So yes. That'll be fun to watch. I still think New Jersey's a little fraudulent. They got tons of talent, but I just don't think they can. I think if the Bruins or New Jersey can keep this pace up, I would take the Bruins over the Devils. But there you go. Florida, Winnipeg, and New Jersey the rest of the week. So and then it's Christmas. So
yeah. We got to talk about what we're going to be doing for next week's show because Christmas we normally record on Sundays, which is today, but that is Christmas Day. And I don't know what everybody has for what Steve you have for plans, but there's an opportunity for a Friday podcast if available. If not, I can do it solo. I could do one of those live streams and make it into a podcast, make it a Christmas special.
We'll figure some out. I mean, I don't see we should be able to do Friday, especially again, this is another storm. This is last week. Our storm was a dud. I was really hoping I wouldn't have school as a teacher. We did anyway. Then they tell me we're getting 3 feet of snow this coming Friday. I look at the forecast. It's all rain. I just want one snow. Can I just get one snow day on a Friday during the holiday season? That's all I'm asking.
I had one on Friday. I had
did?
A snow day. Yeah. So
damn it.
Originally it was like oh, it's gonna be 1 to 2 inches, and then might be a little rain, and then we had
dumped on
almost a foot, and the power was out all day. So it wasn't really a snow day when you get power out. But
I guess that's true.
Yeah, Maine is Maine got a lot of snow the last couple of days.
So we'll talk about that. We'll give the people something for sure because we want to keep this thing going, and we appreciate all the feedback we're getting from all the viewers and all the listeners, and we're just happy to be here, happy to be doing it, happy to be pushing out content that people are enjoying, and anything else we can do in the meantime, we're gonna just keep the train rolling. So. Zach, it was a real pleasure having you today. Thanks so much for joining us, and a lot of good stuff, a lot of good insight. Good luck to you up there in Maine. Next time I'm going through town, I'm going to bother you. Keep your eye out for that.
No bother at all. I like having company up there. Usually it's just me and the off-ice officials up there, in the booth next to the broadcast. So anybody that ever, has media credentials and wants to come up there and talk to me, that's more than fine.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, at least they give you a nice seat where you can see the whole scoreboard. I get to sit behind the orange box.
Yeah, that box doesn't make sense to me.
No.
They
not
use
at
it
all.
They use it for spotlights for some games, but it's just in the worst spot.
Right. Hey, before we end up leaving the listeners and viewers on YouTube, I do want to talk about our Patreon account. We're giving away a hand-signed jersey every month. And if you want to be eligible for this, you donate $1 to patreon.com/blackandgoldhockeypodcast. Details are right down below. You can see for the YouTube viewers. But whenever we do a podcast this coming week before Christmas, we're going to be giving away this hand-signed Derek Sanderson jersey, fully authenticated. Wow. This is from Boston Sports and Music Memorabilia, the amazing Bruce Sullivan. Really cool stuff that we give away every month, and it's just $1. So what happens here is you donate $1. Half of it pays the bills here at the Black and Gold Productions Sports Media Company, and the other half goes into buying amazing jerseys like this, fully stitched and so on. Unbelievable quality, all for $1, folks. So we would certainly appreciate all that financial support. We have almost 60 Patreons right now, which is amazing, and we want to keep growing it more to do these every month. So feel free to support that way financially, and also shout out to everybody that's retweets, listens, the downloads, the interaction. It's amazing. Zach, I want to thank you for finally coming on the program. We've been talking about this for quite some time, but nailing a time down has always been a little rough. But I was so stoked that you were able to come on today, not only to talk about the Boston Bruins and how everything's going with these topics that we picked on the agenda, but also give us a little insight of what goes on up in Maine and the ECHL with the Maine Mariners. I thought that was very cool that, you added a little bit of, the personal experience about the team and so on. And really appreciate you coming on the program today. It's been a blast, and hopefully we can do this again soon.
Yeah, definitely. I thank you guys for having me on. And as you said, it's been a long time coming. I know we had talked about this a couple times, and sometimes I was busy or you were busy or whatnot. So I had a blast talking to you guys, and we'll have to do it again sometime.
Awesome. All right, my man, that is episode 309, Steve. Second one. Are you coming back next week?
Yeah, I'll be back. Hell yeah.
All right.
Hell yeah, I'll be back. Absolutely.
I'm just messing with you.
Absolutely. I like being in the basement for an hour and a half on a Sunday. It gives me off daddy duty for a little bit. It feels good. So
there you go.
And I haven't heard any screaming upstairs yet either, so it must be in good shape. So.
That's awesome. All right, my man. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Again, we will talk next week. If we do not have an opportunity to talk to anybody out there on YouTube or in the audio platforms, please subscribe, by the way, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Spotify. We'd certainly appreciate that. And please give us a rating. A 5-star rating would be amazing, and a review. And we also just want to say that we hope that everybody out there does have a happy and safe holiday. Obviously, I always do this for holidays, but it should be known every day, all 365. If you're going out and drinking, please find other transportation. Do not drive. It's not worth losing your license or killing somebody else on the road. Please find alternative driving methods, Lyft, Uber, walk, a cab, whatever. Just please take care of yourself and others this holiday season.
Yeah, don't be a news story. That's what I say. Don't end up being a news story.
Exactly. Yeah. So with that being said, that is episode 309. Thank you very much, Zach. Thank you very much, Steve. You guys are amazing people. We'll definitely be talking on the tweet machine, I'm sure. But until next week, I am Mark Allred. That's Steve Forni and Mr. Zach Taranko below. Take care. We'll talk soon. Thanks again for tuning in and supporting this week's episode of the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. Please give the show a 5-star rating and write a review on listening platforms such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. If you'd like to contact the show for advertising opportunities or to send us a question or topic idea we should be discussing, please send us an email to blackandgoldproductionsllc@gmail.com. Don't forget to share our program on your social media platforms with other hockey fans and follow our Twitter accounts at Black and Gold Pod, at BNG Productions, at Black and Gold 277, and at Kevin_O'Keefe89. Also, please don't forget to check out our official blackandgoldhockey.com website where we cover the Bruins organization from the NHL level down to the prospects worldwide. Peace out.